Good morning. My name is Jason Anavitarte. I am running for school board, District 6. The district represents basically the North Paulding High School cluster. We have a runoff going on for July 24th. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I've lived here in Paulding County for about 11 years. My wife and I have been married that time, and we have 3 kids. Madison, Kennedy, and Taylor in the background. They'll introduce themselves later and tell you what they're interested in. But all 3 of them, next year will be at Shelton, including Kennedy, and they're just getting older and older and older. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why I decided to run for school board. During the time that we've lived here. We've just seen the challenges and the complex challenges in the county just increase. My wife and I, we've been involved here in the community for a number of years. I've served on our board of trustees at the Technical College in Dallas, and have been doing that for a number of years. And actually next month I'll take over as the chairman of the college, the 7th County Service Area, the largest technical college in the state of Georgia. And so we get to see a lot of great individuals and students and families and people we serve here in Paulding County and kind of in this northwest Georgia area. And in addition to that, I've served on Judge Dean Bucci's drug court for a couple of years now, working with individuals who, for some of them, have kind of hit rock bottom, have hit hard times, dealing with substance abuse issues, and have had their lives derailed. So in support of the work that Judge Bucci has done and Governor Deal has done in creating these drug courts, it's been good work. I think the long-term challenge I challenge the community, and the judge does too, is building sustainable drug courts that where we can impact more people's lives, and not just impact their lives and get them off drugs, but get them in employment where they can take care of themselves and their families and their kids. Another organization I've been involved with for a number of years is Fellowship for Christian Athletes. We started a FCA club at Shelton where the girls go to school, and just to try and bring more faith back into our schools. And I think one of the things, and I think all of us would agree on, is there's a lot of kids out there whose parents aren't involved in what's kind of going on in their daily lives. A lot of them don't get exposure to the Bible. A lot of kids don't even know what a Bible is. They don't get to go to church. So one of the things we do is try and make relationships and connect with parents in the community that have kids at Shelton, and at the same time expose those kids to the word of Christ. There's inherent challenges I mentioned before, kind of what's going on here in Paulding County with our economy, things that are going on in the school system, and I think there's short-term things, and I think there's long-term things we have to look at. I think one of the big things that we have to look at as it relates specifically to the schools is having somebody on the school board that's going to fight for the taxpayer, that's going to fight for parents, that's going to fight for students, teachers, the principals, and create a leadership culture that is working to take the burden off of our teachers who are stressed out on the front lines. My wife, she's a paraprofessional, so I see every single day what she deals with in her classroom and the challenges that other educators have across this county and every school system across the state. But I feel like the challenges here in this county, I think we have an opportunity to find ways to, I think a lot of people will say we do more with less already, but the question is, are we being innovative? Are we being efficient? Are we tying our education system to economic development? Are we tying our education system to the workforce development for people who don't have job training when they come out of high school and they don't have a place to go to higher education? And are we reaching people at a younger age, at 9th grade, 10th grade, and exposing them to trade jobs, plumbing, electrician, truck driving. My dad, he was a truck driver for 25 years after he served in the Army for over 20 years. And that was the bedrock of my family. I'm luckily the only person who actually went to college in my family. Everybody worked in the Stanley Tool Mill. My grandfather did. And so that's kind of the core of the economy in this community. And I feel like however we can move the ball forward with our education system, our K through 12 system, and we're leveraging the most effort possible to create an environment to where we're producing a workforce that can attract jobs, and we're aligning companies that we can't get to come here to Paulding County, but we're aligning our education system with what are those jobs we want to come to Paulding County. That's what we should be focused on. Secondly, I think in terms of efficiency and making the most use of your tax dollars, I think we can do a better job. We have vendors in the county that, and I know this has been controversial, that have not kept the schools clean. I think we need to have an open, honest, transparent conversation about Aramark. I think we need to talk about what can we be doing more. I will tell you firsthand, and people can disagree with me if they want, but the schools are not clean. The schools do not have supplies. We've seen that firsthand in our own school. I've seen that in other schools, not just based on what parents have told me, but even when I've visited some of those schools. And I think we need to look at, are we getting the greatest rate of efficiency out of the contracts we have as a county, as a school system? And, what can we do even in getting, having some sort of efficiency audit or something done to really measure the academic standards that we have and the success rates against the money we're spending. And we're already one of those school systems in the state that doesn't already have a lot of money to spend per pupil. But are we maximizing every single dollar before we have a conversation about raising taxes and having a conversation about putting more burden on the taxpayers who are already paying a lot of taxes? And I think we need more data. We need to build a foundation to have that conversation in an open, transparent way. I think another conversation we need to have that needs to be transparent is school safety. We need to have a community discussion about what are we comfortable with, what are we not comfortable with. I support, and I think everybody supports, making sure we're doing the common sense things in our schools to keep them safe, locking doors, making sure visitors are actually being checked into the building in an appropriate way, those types of things. But I've said, and I've been on record this whole campaign, that I do support administrators carrying in the schools as long as we have, the proper policies in place, and we're working with local, state, and federal agencies in developing those processes, making sure that there are behavioral checks and mental health checks done on those administrators who could potentially carry, and making sure we have every safety mechanism in place for that administrator to carry. But at the end of the day, this is your school system, and we need to have a conversation and not just be shy about it. Having the conversation. I think thirdly, another conversation I feel like we need to plan for is growth. There is an astronomical amount of building going on in Paulding County right now. And I feel like it's out of control. It is starting to damage our schools. There is overcrowding, and we have to take steps to address it. I support that the sooner the better in studying what do we have for facilities, what do we have for capacity for growth, what do we have in terms of being able to create an environment that's going to be conducive to our kids succeeding and not being jammed in a class with 40 or 45 kids, or at Shelton next year potentially having 1,500 kids in an elementary school. To me, that's unacceptable. And I feel like the more we kick the can down the road, the problem is going to worsen. But at the same time, I believe us as a school board needs to stand up, and we need to ask the county, and we need to demand that something is done with home building, that we have a plan. I know in our community in North Paulding, the challenges exist. We just saw another massive tree cutting that went down in the back of Seven Hills. And this is not just a Seven Hills problem. This is a Paulding County problem, and it's happening across the county. And this can continue on, and we can continue to ignore it. but the school system needs leadership to fight and to talk about it and not be afraid to take on these challenges. Don't get me wrong, some of them are controversial. I know some people don't even want to talk about it, but as leaders, the school system owes it to the parents and also owes it to the parents and the families in this county to set an environment to where there is a little bit of predictability about what's going on in their lives. Them not having to stress out about what kind of classroom size their kids are going to be in next year, or is there the potential of redistricting in a year, or those types of things. We need to get to a point in this county where there is more predictability. People know what they're getting. There are no surprises. Things are transparent, but being mindful in terms of kind of where are we going, not just for the short term, but also the long term in terms of stretching and growing the academic success of our school system. So I will tell you, I feel like I'm the best person for the job. We had a great campaign, and we run a positive race, and we'll continue to run a positive race. We have 47%, and I asked for your vote July 24th. As you all know, early voting is July 2nd. But this race is critical. This race and the school board, and I know a lot of people don't put a lot of emphasis on the school board race, but education in this county and our students succeeding and my daughter succeeding is what will be the decision making, which will be the point of we either go down the path of raising this county to a standard that we can be successful and have economic growth and lead the state of Georgia, or we can go down another path which will take us to failing schools, to an academic environment that does not attract industry, and you will pay more taxes. That is where we are at today. And so the choice I ask you to make is that we go down the path of building a school system where our economy is focused on education, workforce development, transparency, and leadership that will fight for you. Thank you.